Hello and welcome back to this week's episode of You Can Sit With Us. I'm Matt sitting here with Becky.
Hello.
We have Rainie on the ones and twos.
Hello.
And we have a very special guest that decided to come back and join us. Finally, we've all been waiting. It's Paul.
Hi guys.
Hi, Paul.
Thanks for having me back.
Welcome back.
I'm so happy to be back, and I'm less nervous this time. I was a little nervous last time.
Is it because of the dog?
Yeah, the dog's
The dog is
emotional support.
Yeah.
Gina's here for emotional support.
Gino, come here.
The stuffed animal.
Yes. Paul, how have you been? What's new?
I've been great. I've been busy. I've been booked by second try.
Ooh.
What you doing, baby cakes?
I did season 2 of Common Sense, which you are just simply not ready for. It is absolutely insane. This office was torn to shreds. Nick said like the following Monday it was still like disheveled by how much we did here and how messy and chaotic it was. And I think it's the craziest Crazy James moment that has happened thus far in second try history. In one of the episodes.
That is the bar is
high bar.
The bar is huge.
It's just a combination of his chaos, but so satisfying. And that's all I'll say.
Okay.
And I'm currently planning drop into City season 2, which we leave for on Monday. And I can't say where we're going yet. Although
surprises.
I'm not going to say where we're going, but we're going really cool places and we're very excited. So been busy.
What's the prep look like when you do that?
The prep has been nonstop. I had 14 business calls. There's your accidental spoiler. Business calls in one day to talk with small business owners, which I mentioned last time is just such a satisfying part of this job, is talking to small business owners, especially now, that are just so excited to get some really fun publicity and build challenges that are like, yeah, we can do that. And I'm just like, awesome. Let's just make them like do the craziest stuff in these cities. So that's been a lot of fun and we're going to have a blast.
Where's your dream drop in the city locale? I mean, other than the obvious, like London, Paris, South Korea. These are all the places I would like to drop in the city.
Right. So like I can't go to like somewhere to, are we saying the continental US?
Yeah, continental US. We'll go more boring.
He's like Honolulu.
I would do Honolulu. No, I think I want to go somewhere I haven't been, but I've been dying to go. So let's go.
Boise.
Maybe Boise. Listen, that's the thing with dropping a city is I researched a lot of these cities that don't have a tourism natural like community yet, because every city is awesome. Like you just have to go in there and explore it the way that the guys do. Right. So I'm just going to go out there. Let's say Minneapolis.
You're going to go to the Mall of America?
Well,
Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Let's get some love for Minneapolis.
St. Paul.
Minneapolis,
they were
St.
on
Paul.
my list. I think I had a connection with the head of tourism there. Let's explore Minneapolis.
Explore Minneapolis.
Yeah.
Why not?
That's my answer.
I feel like that's Minneapolis's like state. So explore Minneapolis.
Explore Minneapolis. With that too. Like, hey, why not?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Gino.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Wow.
Come here. Come up.
So things are good. Busy. And it's summertime. And yeah, I'm happy.
Summertime. What is your rosebud and thorn of the week?
Okay, I actually wrote it down so I wouldn't forget.
Oh.
We love a prepared king.
We love it.
But like, where is it is the question.
I feel like I need to bring him out.
Your spidey senses.
I'll be here for your rosebud and thorn. We don't want to get peed on. The first thing Gino did, they got him, and the people that were fostering him were near our house. So they literally picked up Gino and then drove over. Gino came over, and Eugene, literally as he says the words, Gino was there for maybe 15, 20 minutes. And Eugene's like, and it's crazy. He hasn't even like peed anywhere. Gino was currently peeing on my carpet.
That must have been really great.
I was like,
well, isn't that
fun? Gino, you've christened it.
That's what pups do when they're in new places.
Yeah.
They want to make sure that they're known.
Yeah, well, he's known.
He's known.
He's known. He's back. So what's your rosebud and thorn, baby cake?
So I'm really excited about this. My rose is roses. Do you know why?
Wait on me. No.
We have a rose bush in our backyard that blooms every so often with no care whatsoever. So I said,
you don't prune it at all?
I hadn't until about a month ago. And I was like, why don't you pay attention to this little rose bush and give it some love?
Yeah.
Guess what it's about to do?
Oh my God.
Bloom. So I went on YouTube and I figured out how to cut it and on the angle so that it's getting the water. And I water it from above so it's getting like rainfall because roses need rain. And at first I was like, it's not working. It's just all I'm getting is leaves. And then I noticed some of the leaves were green and some were red. And the ones that are red have little buds coming out of them. And there's like 10 of them. And the one day I saw it, I was like, I did something with plants that actually worked because it never works. I should say never works, but it rarely works.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited. So my rose is roses. I'm blooming roses in my backyard.
I love that. I've always wanted to take on roses.
Well, maybe we should do it together. I'm still experimenting because I don't know why the ones turned red that did. I need to do a little more inspection because one branch has all green. I'm like, something was wrong
what
here.
happened here?
Let's learn from experience. And that's a good thing that I'm trying to do more now is if the bush is already there, just experiment. Just learn from it. There's no expectation. It doesn't have to bloom. If it does, great. And if it doesn't, you just tried and you tried to learn a little bit.
Our neighbors have like 5 rose bushes that we benefit from because they're on the side of our driveway. So when they bloom, it's gorgeous because they're like different colors. But then the maintenance, whenever they have to hack it down, I'm always like, oh!
I know it's
the first time I ever saw it, I was like, oh my God, they're little stubbies. But then they like explode.
And the thing that I'm always torn by is when I see it on the bush and it's at its full bloom, I'm kind of like, do I snip it and put it in a vase so it's in the house? And I usually let it be. But then the next day you go out, it's starting to wilt and then you're sad.
Oh.
This is what I'm learning as a rose bloomer.
Rose guy.
My thorn is I watched Snow White yesterday.
I saw your TikTok.
Okay.
Spoiler for the ending.
Neither of you?
No.
Do you know about it at all?
I know that it is not well reviewed.
I've heard it's not well reviewed.
My thing is, and you know this.
Yeah.
I love a bad movie.
Yeah.
Love a bad movie. My thing is when it's like, it's neither so bad it's like fun or so good it's good. It just falls in the middle. That's Snow White. There's just, and Rachel Zegler is so good in it that it's hard for me to break away from like, oh no, she's like killing it right now. Her voice is beautiful. She's actually acting the house down. Gal Gadot is another story, but let's just keep it positive. Rachel Zegler is unreal. So good.
Yeah. She is
the
an
movie around
angel.
her.
She is a star. I will defend her till the day I die. Her career has been impacted by bad men, and I won't stand for it.
And
whatever's happening with this movie, I don't blame her.
Do you know what's happening in London right now with Evita?
I've seen the clip.
Have you heard her?
She's an angel.
Do you know about this? Do you know the musical Evita? Every time I talk about a pop culture reference to Rainie, I'm like, do you know Evita?
Don't cry for me, Argentina. You know that? Truth is, I never left you.
Rachel Zegler is part of the revival in London right now. And every day she comes out on the balcony and greets just like the normals, like outside and sings to us.
Oh my God.
Even if you don't have a ticket. And she is crushing it right now.
Beautiful.
This TikTok audio has leaked and
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
She's such a thespian. Like she was in, I saw her Thoroughly Modern Millie rendition.
Oh, you did?
No, she just did it on TikTok. And then she was also in Romeo and Juliet
with Kit Connor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Tommy Dorfman, I think, was also, she was in that too.
I love it. Keep speaking up because it's working in her favor. Like Snow White only was watchable because of her.
Yeah.
And they're just like the updates to it were so strange. They update Snow White to have like a mission. Which is good. She should have more than just in the cartoon where she's just like rolling around and like falls asleep. But they didn't do anything to update the witch. So the witch's whole backstory now is like she still is a sorceress. She can create diamonds in her hand for whatever reason. And she clings to a mirror that tells her every day she's beautiful. And I'm like, is there anything else we could do with her? Or is that really the extent of the Wicked Witch?
Yeah, that's that.
They could have even taken a note from Once Upon a Time.
Oh, what they do with that?
I can't even.
You can't
even get into the
We'll do another
backstory
episode
on
about
that
Once
one.
Upon a Time.
That is a lore within a lore. I'd have to tell you about the story if you're in Storybrooke or if you're out in the real world.
Well, we'll circle back to that.
We'll circle back, but they made it make more sense on why Snow White's stepmother was so upset with her.
Okay.
And it wasn't just that she was beautiful.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll discuss that at a later date.
You should watch it. If you haven't watched Once Upon a Time, let me tell you.
I need a new show.
It's Rainie. There's so many seasons.
I was going to say, isn't there like 35 seasons?
35
so
million seasons. There's intrigue. There's romance.
Fairy tales.
Two of the main characters were both either engaged and married to other people and then fell in love together as they fell in love on the show.
Oh my gosh.
Crazy.
Real life.
It's a good fall asleep show. Like you fall asleep to it.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
I'll watch it.
Yeah. It's good. You'll love it. You'll love it, Rainie.
You'll love to fall asleep to this show.
You'll love it. You've had a lot of jobs, a lot of careers. You've also lived many a life. But why we wanted to have you on today, it was to talk about your newest sort of venture in the world, which we will do. Just a little trigger warning for anyone that's listening. We're going to be talking about death and grief and all the things related to that. So if that's not something you have the space or capacity for right now, go ahead and skip this episode. We'll come back next week.
And I'll come back and we'll talk about more generally happy things. But I promise this conversation will also contain happiness too. In a different way.
So speak on it.
Yeah, let me speak on it. And I do want to
What's your journey been?
You and I talked about this probably a year ago. And then Rainie and I talked about coming back on the podcast, and I volunteered this as something to talk about because it's something I have become more passionate about of late. And so thank you for providing the space to do this and talk about grief, because it's not a shocker. You're hearing it a lot now. We just don't talk about it enough and how everyone processes it differently. So I am really glad to be here, and thank you for that. My own journey began. My father died in December of 2023. And I have been very privileged and fortunate in life to not experience a lot of deaths that have been impactful in that way. And so I was 44 at the time. And it was my first sort of walk with what grieving was for me. And I'm going to keep coming back to that because it is important to acknowledge that everyone, like top of mind, is going to have a different grief process. It's almost as unique as a snowflake. And while you might find similarities with other people, it's important to know that everyone's process is their own and everyone's process is right. And I would say that I, in my own process, right away went to fix mode. Like, how do I fix things? How do I plan? How do I help my mom? How do I help my sisters? Just sort of staying above water and helping other people and maybe raise them a little bit more. I like that.
Gino!
Oh, no.
Gino, bad boy. Just kidding, Gino.
Gino's
You're not a
just
bad boy.
Yeah.
Matt shouldn't have left that there.
Matt's the bad boy.
Bad boy, Matt.
Becky, you're interrupting, okay?
It's okay to interrupt.
We're being
It's
serious,
good.
Becky. We're being serious.
We have to let the light out every sometimes too.
So is this leading up to his passing or is this right after?
Right after.
Okay.
And that's a really good distinction too, because there is grief leading up and there's grief after, and we only have so much time. So grief after is where I'll be focusing a little bit. But I was really just focused on keeping everyone okay. And there's only so much you can do there. And you also, or I found I wasn't taking care of myself.
Right.
And I knew it at a certain point. There was a trip I went to go visit my mom who had been, she went to Florida for a little bit, and it was maybe 4 or 5 months after his passing. And I felt it was the right time to go visit with her. She was by herself outside of the people she was with there. And it was just a really, really hard week for me. Beautiful in a lot of ways. Like, we bonded a lot, but then I found myself at the end of my fuse way too often. And I came back, and Nick and I I will never forget, we were sitting down one night, and he very compassionately just said, I don't think you're taking great care of yourself right now. And I say compassionately because there's so many ways that can be said. And Nick, being the amazing husband and boss and person that he is, was very compassionate and kind about how he conveyed it. And that made all the difference. Because that could have been said like, you know, you're actually like looking kind of bad right now. Or like, you look tired. Are you okay? Like that critical way of doing it. And Nick was just like, and not even a way that he was like, I'm worried about you. He's just like, I don't think you're really taking great care of yourself at the moment. And to hear that from someone you care about so much, it sinks in. And my first inclination was to go back to yoga, because that's where I've been like in the past. I'm not a huge physical exercise person. That's just not something I was nurtured with as a child and teenager. And I've always had a interesting relationship with physical exercise. But yoga's always made sense to me because it is it's informed and taught in a way that is sensitive to somebody like me who wasn't necessarily coached to hit the ball like everyone else did. Like, it's more like it's coaching to really push you to your best rather than like pushing you because like you struck out, get back up there and do it again. Like that's not my coaching style. Oh, your form's looking great. Maybe just adjust this way. That's my coaching style. And so I was like, this will be a safe way to enter back in. And I went to a studio in Los Angeles called Child's Pose. And I just started back into it and found that was exactly what I needed. And it really hit because so much about yoga for people that practice is like staying in the discomfort. You'll be in a pose that doesn't feel like you can handle it and your legs are shaking and it feels like it hurts, but you're more programmed to be like, well, it hurts because it's just uncomfortable. If I stay in it, I'm actually okay. And that's grief for me.
Yeah.
Is that there would be times when I was grieving my father's death that I would feel, this doesn't feel right. 2 a.m., I'm waking up and I don't feel right. I feel sick to my stomach. Something's wrong. Wow. Let me watch TV. Let me fix it. Let me do something. Rather than, as in yoga, why don't I surrender to it? Why don't I sit in it? Why don't I be sad and honor what happened here rather than pushing and fighting through it?
Yeah.
And so the two of those things coming together were a big turning point for me. Finding yoga as part of my grief experience. And speaking of grief, election day last year, I decided on that night that I was not going to participate in what was happening. I was going to go to a class. And I went to a class, and the teacher that night is a woman named Allison Guzman. And I had never taken her class before, but she came in and I just felt like that sense when you meet someone new for the first time and you're like, ooh, this person has something. They're magical. There's something about this person.
Yeah.
And I told her what brought me back to the studio. She told me she works in palliative care, actually, at a hospital in California. And for those of you who don't know what palliative care is, I didn't learn this until my father was going through it, but it's sort of the step before hospice care. Hospice care takes you sort of into the place where we are now making the person as comfortable as they can be for their passing. Palliative care is sort of like you can come in and out of, depending on what your state is. And you it's just a little bit more of a preparation without it being as dire, I hate to use that word, as hospice. And she told me that she knows of a person in the grief community named David Kessler. And she's like, I think you would be fantastic for his education program. She said he hosts it twice a year. It's all online. And I've done it. A lot of people that I work with have done it. And people that don't even work in the grief community have done it just because it shines a light on the things we don't talk about in grief. So I signed up for his wait list. And I waited, and it was around, I think, March or April this year that registrations opened up for this. And I think I maybe mentioned this the last time I was on the podcast, but work has been very, very dry outside of Second Try right now. Thank you. Thank you, Keith. Thank you, Zach. Thank you, everyone.
The industry is a nightmare,
The industry's in really, really bad shape.
Right.
So I have been watching money and watching spending, and the cost of the course was considerable, but I just felt so inclined to do this program that I just started typing. I was like, this is my experience. This is what I think I can do. This is why I'm drawn to it. It feels like a purpose. And I got a scholarship. And it's the first scholarship I've ever gotten in my life.
That's awesome.
And so when that happened, I told Nick and I was like, I can't believe it. I'm a student again. I got a scholarship to this program. And it just felt so meant to be.
Yeah.
When we started this podcast, it seemed like we had to figure it all out on our own. Scripts, setup, filming schedule, logos. It was super overwhelming, and every day seemed to introduce a new decision that needed an answer. When you're starting off with something new, it seems like your to-do list keeps growing every day with new tasks, and that list can easily begin to overrun your life. Finding the right tool that not only helps you out, but simplifies everything can be such a game changer. For millions of businesses, that tool is Shopify. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the United States. From household names like Mattel and Gymshark to brands just getting started. With hundreds of ready-to-use templates, Shopify helps you build a beautiful online store to match your brand style. Easily create email and social media campaigns wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. And best yet, Shopify is your commerce expert with world-class expertise in everything, from managing inventory to international shipping to processing returns and beyond. If you're ready to sell, you're ready for Shopify. Turn your big business idea into with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/sitwithus. Go to shopify.com/sitwithus. Shopify.com/sitwithus. Between summer travel, weddings, and weekends away, my routine's all over the place. But my cold brew ritual, that's one thing I don't skip, thanks to Trade. Their cold brew beans are smooth and easy to prep. Whether I'm brewing ahead for the week or filling my tumbler to take on the road, I can skip deliveries when I'm away, reschedule when I'm back, and always count on having great coffee wherever I'm at. Trade is the #1 coffee destination in the US for both hot and cold coffee drinkers. They've sourced the best beans from top roasters across the US and now have a special cold brew collection. Trade makes it effortless to make your own cold brew at home, and that's both delicious and at an amazing value. Plus, they've teamed up with 15 roasters to create a special cold brew bean collection that ensures your cold brew at home tastes exactly how it should, smooth and delicious. I love the beans are so fresh and come straight to your door. It's so easy to use, and I look forward to having it every single morning. For a limited time, Trade is giving 50% off a month of cold brew. That's around 60 cups of cold brew for 50% off when you go to drinktrade.com/sitwithus. That's drinktrade.com/sitwithus to get 50% off 1 month of cold brew. drinktrade.com/sitwithus.
And I just finished. I just graduated 2 weeks ago. So it was a 12-week program, and it's David leads the entire process, and I want to go deeper into it, but I want to talk more about other things. But I just need to say that everything that I'll be sharing from this point on comes from my experience, but also David's teachings. He's an extremely wise, intelligent man who has spent his life studying this and the reasons why we don't talk about it and how we can talk about it more with compassion. So things that you'll be hearing today, I've cribbed it from David. Check out his book. He wrote many incredible books. He's got an amazing story, and you can check out his website. He has grief.com is his website.
Oh, wow.
So he's the guy.
Whoa,
Yeah.
grief.com.
Yeah. But that's what got me here. And so I'm very excited, and I will, I'm sure, talk about this. I don't know where it's taking me yet, and that's the most exciting thing.
What do you do with a grief counseling?
Honestly, I'm trying to as opposed to coming to Hollywood, as we know, and you like dive into the work and you just get to work and you take any job you can, being at this age now and being in this space where there isn't necessarily opportunities to do this, I'm letting my talking about it show me what the availabilities are. So anyone I talk to about this, I end up like, if I feel the sort of like they want to talk about this, because it is something that you need to brace people for, 9 times out of 10, their eyes widen. They're like, oh my God, I would love to talk about this for A, B, C, D reason. A death of a loved one or a friend who's had a person who's died and they didn't know what to say. So that can be enough right now. If it's an opportunity to talk about it here with you, that is a huge, amazing opportunity for me to continue to do this work until it becomes something else, if it ever does.
Yeah.
I just feel like I sort of have learned a secret language right now that many people are going to get. It's not a foreign language, but you may not be ready to speak in this way yet. So if I can open that up to people and let people start talking, that would be enough for now.
Good.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What were some of your aha moments like going through this process?
Oh my gosh. The aha moments, I feel like there was one every single week. So there's a lecture every week, a lab every week, a guest speaker every week.
Oh, wow.
And homework, which is also like crazy to do homework again.
What does your homework look like?
The homework was like almost like a take a moment and step away from the curriculum and think for yourself about this prompt. One of them that I keep going back to, and I've actually I've led this already. I'm in a grief group for my own father's passing that was organized by the hospice organization that helped with his passing.
Wow.
I've been doing it for 2 years. That also inspired why I wanted to do this. It's a group that meets online every other week. I've been in it for so long now that I kind of feel like I'm learning more than I feel like I need it. There are still weeks that I get in there and I'm like, I got to talk about this moment where I really miss my dad. And then there are some weeks where I'm just listening to other people's stories because that will also inform how I help other people.
Yeah.
And one of the things we did for homework was called a loss inventory. And everyone can do this at home, no matter if you have or have not lost a person in your life. But if you feel as though you've experienced grief in some way, you go back and you look at experiences where you've lost something. And that could be a job. It could be a home. It could be a boyfriend, a girlfriend. But you feel like there's a sense of loss somewhere. And you write it down. And just write down the loss to begin with. Make a list of the things you feel like you've lost.
Yeah.
Take some time, step away from it, and then come back when you're feeling like you might be in a better headspace and write about how you might grieve that now that you're out of it. Because so often when we're in those moments of loss, I can say, I've lost jobs. I was laid off or fired from 3 jobs during my time in Hollywood that were all very impactful. And I had to move through it, get on unemployment, call my parents, tell them I'm okay, tell Nick we're going to be all right, all the things you do to move through it.
Yeah.
But if I look back on it, where else can I look at that firing and go, that really hurt my feelings?
Yeah.
That was really, really hard that I found out over email that I didn't have a job anymore.
Right.
Let's just sit in that for a moment. That was really mean that person did that.
Yeah.
I'm going to just sit with that. I am going to say, wow, I didn't get to go on that vacation because I didn't have the money to do that. And everyone else went and they posted their pictures. That was really, really hard.
Yeah.
And you just are feeling those feelings because you couldn't do that then. Everyone would say like, well, you got to get over it. You got to move. Come on, you got to get a job again. What are you going to do? You have insurance to pay. All true. But you also are allowed to grieve and be sad in ways that are productive. There is productive grief. So that was one homework assignment. And that kind of leads to an aha moment, which is that just in general, grief is an active thing. And a lot of people think like, I can't actually say if I know the distinction particularly still, but mourning, I believe, is sort of public grief and grief is kind of what happens within. I don't think it's necessarily that important. I think what's important is acknowledging that you have a space where you can say everything to someone who will be a witness to your grief. And that is the aha, is that there are ways to help our friends and family by just being a witness, by just hearing what they're going through and letting them say everything.
Right.
And I think one of the things that comes up all the time with what we learn about grieving are the things not to say. And they are important to say here if you have not heard them. And they are pretty universal. I will
List them
say.
to us. What should we not say?
Here are some things you should not say. Top of mind.
We'll go with your example though of your life of if somebody's just lost a parent.
Okay.
What is number one thing you wish
So if we're
nobody had
going to
ever
go
said
for
to
me
you?
first, and then we'll go to things that are a little bit, this was specific to me, so it may not apply to everybody. But I had a friend who, again, this always comes from a good place. No matter where you're hearing this from, if you have heard this, or if you've said it, we know you mean well. But just try to take in what the person might be hearing. So I know, I feel so sorry to hear what happened. You're going to probably be in a flow state where you're going to be planning the funeral and you're going to be just doing things. Just need you to know that in a month or two from now, it's going to get much worse.
What? Someone said that?
3 times. To the point where this person had lost his father. And that was his experience. So that's what was being shared in a tone that was also, I can acknowledge, the way that he was taught to grieve. Right? I was able to finally look at that and go, because the first 2 times I was like, person A, I'm just going to grit my teeth and be like, thank you. The third time, I heard it. I'm like, this is how he was told to grieve, is to move through it because it's going to get worse and you got to be ready for it when it happens, like that type of energy. So I said, just very quietly, I was like, I really need you to know that I hear what you're telling me, but it's not coming across to me the way that I think you think it is. And he, to his credit, was like, I hear that. That was my bad.
Wow.
And we didn't go that much deeper into it. And at some point I would like to revisit it with him because he's a pretty sensitive person. I think he'd be able to hear that. But that was my really, really tough one. The other thing that I was activated by was when this was prior to my dad's passing, I was rarely vulnerable with anybody with what was going down. So if I did do that, you had to know that you were in very special company. And I would say, I'm going to tell you everything right now. And I just kind of need you to listen. I don't need a lot of feedback. I would tell people that because that's a big thing when you are going through grief is the more you can educate people on what you need ahead of time, it helps with the bumps.
Right.
But I had said this and I said, one thing that's been really, really hard is sort of like helping my mom at this point. And this person goes, well, what are the doctors saying? And in that moment, I went, you're not listening to a word I'm saying. You were waiting for your opportunity to get to a thing that you felt you could talk about.
Right.
Well, what's his prognosis? Is it as bad as it seems? Like was where I think he wanted to sort of bring me back to life and say like, maybe it's going to get better. Have you thought about that? And it's like, yeah, I've thought about that. And I asked you to stay present in this conversation with me because I'm not bearing my stomach for everybody. And I am with you to say like, I'm worried about my mom right now. Why did you go to what the doctors are saying? But then again, I also have to reflect on that and go, he probably was just trying to solve it. And that's the thing with grief is that you're not going to solve anyone else's grief. They are going to solve it themselves. If solving isn't even the right word, but they're going to heal themselves by talking and sharing what scares them, what makes them sad, what makes them angry. Like one of the things that David taught one week was the most, when we are faced with bad news, no matter what it is, there's 3 core emotions that most people go to. And this can be like broken down in many different ways where you could look at these emotions and be like, I don't know if I'm that one, or if I'm a couple of these, but the 3 core emotions are sadness, fear, and anger.
Mm-hmm.
And when I heard anger, my eyes like doubled in size because I'm a fear person.
Yeah.
That's where I go. If I hear bad news, my gut goes like, oh God, oh no, what are we going to do? What are we going to like that sort of energy. But you hear anger and you're like, oh God, okay. I now understand about 20 people in my life a lot more.
Right.
When they get bad news, they want to punch a wall.
Mm-hmm.
David has said many times over that anger is the mind's like bodyguard. It comes up to protect in a way to say like, this isn't happening right now. If you do this, if you stomp around, if you yell, that's what anger's doing for you in that moment. And there was something so enlightening about that is also an emotion we do not allow in this society. Anger is something that is we are critical about it. You can't be angry right now. Is probably something that's told more than you can't be sad or you can be scared. We allow people to be sad and scared, but being angry, we don't really mess with that.
We get so threatened so quickly.
Yeah. So that really sunk in for me and made me look at different ways that people have explored things with me in the past where I'm like, oh, I kind of want to go back and be like, sorry, I didn't let you be angry in that moment. I could see that behind that anger, you were actually grieving.
Yeah.
My bad. Do you want to talk about it? And that's the other thing. Like the best thing you can say, so I do want to say a couple more things that you shouldn't say, and then we'll lead to what you shouldn't say.
Yeah.
They're in a better place.
Oh, I hate that one.
We do not say they're in a better place because that person that's grieving in that moment, because usually that's when that is dropped, is like at a funeral, they'll come over and say, they're in a better place. That person in that moment wants their mother, father, sister, brother there right now.
Right.
They can't process they're in a better place.
Yeah.
They can't do that. Don't do that then. Probably don't do that ever.
Yeah.
Well, at least she's out of pain. Also, not something to say. We're not going for concessions. We're not going for, here's the upside of this.
But it's good because,
it's called like bright siding in the community is we're not going to bright side a death. We're going to let the death be and let the person who is living with the death live and feel and breathe and cry and yell. We're going to allow that space to exist. That's what we're going to do. That's what our focus is. So with that in mind, the thing to say, I would say is, how are you feeling? What do you want to talk about? I think some people would then go to, how can I help? But I would actually be careful with that because most people who are grieving don't know that yet.
Yeah.
The thing that we like to offer people, or I say we, but I've been informed on helping people, is to just make the offering. Bring over the pasta. If you can, don't ask them, hey, if you need dinner, will you let me know? They will not let you know. That's not where their mind is right now. They do not have the time to think about you in that moment. That's what you're kind of asking them to do. I would say in general, the more you can ask people what they are going through and what they're like, what they just want to talk about, and then sitting in the silence, which is hard, is to not fix it, but to actually just sit in it and really let that person cry. Not do much more than that. That's really what the work is really letting people just struggle through it. Because I think back to times where I feel like I've had the most healing, and it's been with a person who let me like cry in a public place. Like,
doing it by yourself is so scary.
And doing it by yourself is something that I think I've gone to journaling a lot. I like yoga. That's when I feel like I sometimes can do it by myself, where I'll be in the middle of a class and be thinking about my dad, and that's the right place to do it. And then the breakthrough I had, roughly or maybe like 6 months in, was one afternoon where I woke up, like truly woke up in an afternoon, because that happens sometimes in the grieving, is you sleep late because you're not sleeping at night.
Yeah.
And I was beating myself up because it was probably, I wouldn't say it was afternoon, maybe it was like 11 o'clock, but I got up and I was like, my mind was telling me to beat myself up. You've lost so much in the morning. You were supposed to do this today. Nag, nag, nag.
Yeah.
And why are you still grieving? Like all these voices that I was hearing. And I went, shh. And what if I surrender? And that version of surrender that day was that I went out to the hammock in our backyard and I put on a playlist that we had made for my father in his like final days. And I laid there and I just listened to the playlist, to listen to his music. And to me, that's like, I'm not a religious person. That felt like prayer, to come back to him and be with him with that music. And it was like a breakthrough to be like, that could be your time with dad. That's it. You're doing the work right now. This is work. This is, grief is work. And you're doing it. You're honoring him. You're showing him love right now in whatever way that you can, because you had a really rough night. Yeah. Sometimes that can be it.
Right.
So intense.
That's how you grieve by yourself. Sorry.
What songs were on the playlist?
Oh my gosh, that's such a good question.
What's your favorite song on the playlist?
My favorite song. My dad, and it's my favorite because it was his favorite, because there are some of his songs that I love, but he loved The Dance by Garth Brooks. Do you know that song?
No, I love the name, and it's obviously country.
He and I've never been a Garth Brooks person, but the lyrics in The Dance are I wish I could say it right now, but like, you essentially are enduring the pain of life, but at the end there is the dance. And the message of the song is essentially saying, like, I would have skipped all that pain if I could have, but then I would have missed the dance. And that's a beautiful one. And then he also had a song, I've talked through this a lot. And so it's called He Stopped Loving Her Today. And it's another country song. And the message of this song is like, you hear that title and you're like, oh, he stopped loving her today because she cheated on him or something like that. Yeah. But he stopped loving her today because the person that's singing the song is the one who died. And so up until like he stopped loving her today because he's died. And so like the country songs, they will gut you, but they're also like, he loved those songs. And my dad was not an emotional guy. Believe it or not, like me coming out of like that person, he was not a like deeply emotional person in the day-to-day. He always showed it in different ways. Like he had so many beautiful ways of showing how much he loved us. Yeah. But the way of like sharing it openly, like with an I love you or something like that came later in life here and there. Yeah. But for him to say that he loved this song, I've heard it back and I'm like, oh, I can hear my dad and how much he loved my mom through this song. That's how much he loved this song. Like he knew that he would love her until the last day. And it turned out to be the case for sure.
Wow. That's so sweet.
Yeah. And that's what a lot of this work is too, is like it helps me to get through and start to learn how I can keep my dad alive in a certain way. And this is something that I will say, I used to hear stories like this from people where like my mom passed away, but I still see her in this way and that way. And I would be like, that's woo-woo. That's not me. It is so me. Now that I'm on the other side of this, it is so me. And I find it that if this is something that, if you've lost someone recently, like I would say within a year, I don't think you can expect to be here yet. So keep in mind, if you're listening, this is me almost 2 years in. But there is a term that David uses called integration. And once you have grieved pretty fully, you can start integrating grief into your life and how it's changed you in productive ways. Yeah. And it always catches me by surprise, but I find that like I'll be doing something and I'll look down at it, like the banner that I made for Henry. Make these little felt banners. And my friend Noelle taught me how to make them. Her grandmother made them. They're little cut out of felt. They spell out like Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and you hang them on a little ribbon. And so her grandmother taught her how to make them. And then I started making them for babies and friends. And I was cutting the shapes and there were letters of Henry's name. And I looked down and I realized my dad used to do woodworking where he would cut people's names, like Mom or Brenda, my sister's name, out of wood. And all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, I'm using felt. He used wood, but this is him. This is definitely him right now. Why else would it be him? Why else would I be doing this? And it also was educated to my friend Noelle through her grandmother. So that's her grandmother did this too. Oh my gosh. Now we're merging Noelle's grandmother and my dad into something that's ending up in a baby's room somewhere. Like that's legacy. That is inspiration in a way that I would not be doing, I don't think, if he were still here. Would I want him still here? Absolutely. And comes integration. Yeah. Since he is not, how can I keep him here? And that is such a blessing to start to find more and more of those things. It actually reminds me of the roses. Yeah. I forgot about this. You missed this, but you'll listen to the podcast. You'll hear whatever.
We'll fill you in later.
The roses in the backyard, my grandmother used to grow roses. Never shared a single interest in the roses when she was here. And then when I was cutting them back, I was like, oh my God, my grandmother used to trim roses. Now she's here now too. And you can make of that what you will. If you are someone that doesn't really find that in your own life, in your own way, that's totally okay. It's not for everyone. But for me, that's how I find the integration, the keeping my father, my grandmother, hopefully other people that will speak through me in different ways, alive and here and present where we need them more than ever.
Oh my gosh.
That's so beautiful.
Thanks.
It's such a nice, I don't know, skill to have to, like you said, I want my dad to be here, but he's not. And here are the ways I can include him instead of I think the traditional way of thinking is like, but he's not. So stop trying.
And
like,
that might be where some people continue to grieve, right? Like grief, it's going to require some work. And it's not to say that the person who has that reaction isn't working. They are working and they are working at sort of keeping the big feelings away. Right. And that's hard. That's hard if you don't do it as a practice in life. Yeah. I've been going to therapy now for over 5 years. So I'll go to the dark places and the tough places more often because that's what I feel comfortable doing. Yeah. If you're not that person, it's not an admonishment to say that like you may not be someone that's like, yeah, let me get to the craft table.
Yeah.
But like I would say, if anything, keep an eye out for the people whom you may be surprised what they're willing to take on. Right? Like,
interesting.
Like if you're someone that closes down a lot just by nature of who you are, totally understandable. There are, I would imagine, people in your life, people that you might not even expect that are willing to give you the space to do that. That's actually where I have found a lot of comfort in the grief group that I'm still in for my father, is that these are all strangers. I'll never meet a lot of these people in real life. We only know each other through a Zoom screen, but these people know really, really deep, dark stuff about me because I don't have to see them in public. Like I just get to see them every other week and say, this week sucked because I was in the grocery store and the song came on and I wasn't ready for it in that moment. And I had to like run somewhere and cry. That sucked.
Yeah.
And there are some people in the group that are like, there's a woman who is 95 years old and she shows up to this group and she talks about how much it sucks. And I am like, this is a privilege. This is a woman who has lived 95 years and I get to listen to what her experience has been loving somebody for over 50 years and losing him. It's tragic. It's so sad. It's so hard. And it's life. And it can be beautiful. I did the loss inventory with that group. And I shared with this 95-year-old woman what a loss inventory is. I shared it with you. It's a little abstract. She went to, I kid you not, my loss is that we used to live in Colorado and we had to move out of Colorado when I was in my 30s. And I was so sad. And we had lovely things to do in Massachusetts, but in Colorado, every day there was 8 feet of packed snow and I would go out on my snowshoes and I'd spend the morning out there. And she just popped back to life. She was so happy. She was so happy to be talking about an experience that was once sad.
Yeah.
So there's so many ways to see how you can help people through what they're going through by listening and with time, staying with them and seeing how else their conversation might evolve with you. Because if you're somebody who's there on the ground floor when it's bad, trust me, I go back to about 5 or 6 people at most. And that's a lot when it comes to grieving because you don't want to bring it up often. But there are those people that were there when I needed them. And they're the ones I go back to the most because I know there'll be a safe space to land, as they say. Yeah.
Do you have anything like, okay, so I feel like in terms of you're talking about like feeling the feelings and like it's okay to feel the feelings, but it's also super hard. Like was there any learning curve of like, okay, it will pass?
I think I would go back to accepting that it's hard. Accepting that the tears are coming. The only discomfort that I had a hard time with was when I was ignoring it personally.
Yeah.
That was like, I said like 2:00 in the morning, I'd wake up. It would hit 2:00 like an alarm clock 3 or 4 times a week in the first few months. I would wake up from a bad dream, just acknowledging that like I had been through I got home for the last 48 hours of my dad's life. I was able to get there. It was very chaotic and very traumatic. So just coming down from that, imagine like your body and your mind are like, what is happening? What is up and down right now? I don't know how to right myself. Meanwhile, I'm doing everything I can to make that not happen. Like, okay, well, if you just get up and it's 2 a.m. and you watch a TV show or you go for a run, which I wasn't even going for a run. You probably have a drink, which was truly like, that might've been what I had done. And that's not helping. Like you are doing things that are not helping and letting the grief come out. You're shoving it down. And that gave me stomach aches.
Yeah.
Once I was like, you have a stomach ache right now. maybe you go lay outside in the hammock for a little bit, or maybe you talk to Nick or somebody else who has been there. I think we put a lot of pressure in these times on our family members. And the thing that I would point out is that sometimes your family members are the last person sometimes that can help you in deep grief because all of you just experience the same thing in different ways. And they're the people that are like closest to you and know you at your deepest. So there were times that like my sister and I were amazing together. And then there were times where I was like, I shouldn't call Brenda for this right now. This is too much, I think, for her. And I'll call this other friend because I don't want to both of us sink right now. I was in a place where like, you're sinking right now. You need someone to help pull you out.
Right.
If I bring her right now, like I'll be pulling her down with me.
Well, and everyone has such a different relationship to the grief, like you were saying, like especially with your dad. I know I had thought this like when my grandfather passed away, I was like, well, I'm sad as a granddaughter.
Right.
But don't think I'm more sad than my mom who lost her dad.
Right.
So for you, it's like, well, I'm so sad as a son, but how can I talk to my mom who lost her husband, especially as you have a husband. So like the idea of that.
That's exactly
you
it.
know what that weight is.
Yes.
So how to find that support within your family while also let everyone feel their feelings.
That
let
was
your
so
mom
perfectly
mourn
said.
her husband.
So perfectly said. And I think that's where a lot of families do struggle through deaths because one thing that we're also taught in this class is that the worst thing that we sometimes do with grief is we measure our grief against somebody else's. And it happens a lot within a family for that reason you just said, is like, that's my father. Well, that's my husband. That is something that was actually kind of said between my mom and I at a very difficult conversation. We were both right, right? But in that moment, we couldn't help each other because we were both fighting to be right.
Right.
We are the FOMO generation, but you don't need to miss out on protecting your future. For around the same price per month as one of your streaming services, secure your future by finding the right life insurance policy with SelectQuote. For over 40 years, SelectQuote has helped more than 2 million Americans understand their options and get the coverage they need. Over $700 billion in coverage and counting. SelectQuote takes the guesswork out of finding the right life insurance policy. You don't have to sort through dozens of confusing options on your own. Instead, one of their licensed agents will find the right policy at the right price for you, comparing plans from trusted, top-rated insurance companies to find a policy that fits your health, your lifestyle, and your budget. And they work for you for free. SelectQuote works with the providers who offer same-day coverage, up to $2 million worth with no medical exam required. And you're not out of luck if you have pre-existing health conditions. Head to SelectQuote.com and a licensed insurance agent will call you right away with the right policy for your life and your budget. Life insurance is never cheaper than it is today. Get the right life insurance for you for less and save more than 50% at SelectQuote.com/sitwithus. Save more than 50% on term life insurance at SelectQuote.com/sitwithus today to get started. That's SelectQuote.com/sitwithus. And
David has said before, like, he's asked a lot, like, what's the worst death? People will say that. And they're expecting to hear the death of a child. Now, again, the death of a child is unthinkable.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't compare someone's death of a child to the death of a parent or to the death of anything, because everyone's death is the worst death.
Yeah.
Everyone's death is the worst death. If you really think about it.
Can we caveat though? I have to interject.
Yes.
Can we caveat pets for people?
In
Like, don't compare your dog dying
well, I would just say
to like your dad that died.
just don't compare. Just don't compare, period.
Just don't do it
if
at
we
all.
just do that, because the comparison is where, speaking just objectively for the person that has lost a pet, that may be their only loss. Before I lost my dad, my dog was my only loss. That death was deeply traumatic and terrible. I would know better than to ever compare it to anyone's loss, but that's the only measurement that I had at that point. So I would be, if I were presented with that, I might say before I lost my dad, but like, Becky, you have no idea how bad it was when I lost my dog. It was, I couldn't sleep for weeks. It was still horrible. Yeah. And I think we just need to be sensitive to the fact that like, it's all bad. It really is all bad. Losing a person, an animal. It's all bad.
Yeah, there's not really silver linings.
And this was actually, to your aha, this was the biggest aha for me, like across all 12 weeks, seriously, was David mentioned that sometimes if you're going to be leading a group of people, which is something I would actually like aspire to do, is I've already done it in my dad's group. I led that one exercise. It felt very natural to me. I feel like I'm equipped to do that. If you find that somebody in the group is saying, she keeps bringing up her dad's death, and it's like, it's time for you to like move into the next thing, right? Like it's time for you to integrate or pushing someone in that way that feels a little bit intense. Your best thing to do is to sort of reposition, why are you feeling that way? Because what's likely happening is that person that's having the reaction has not had their grief witnessed enough yet. It has less to do with person over here grieving too much. Right. They are still not being heard enough in whatever world that is. And I've been able to think about that more profoundly, and it's especially necessary right now towards people who are actively being trolls in this community of the internet right now.
Right.
They are masking something where their own pain is not being heard. Yeah. That's where that is coming from. I don't want to justify the horrible things that people are saying and doing online by any means. It's awful. But there behind it is an aching, hurt person. People that are doing okay in life are not leaving comments on people's Instagrams about their appearance and wanting them to blah, blah, blah. Yeah. They're doing it because they go to work and somehow in their job, someone is treating them where they're not being heard. And so they're coming home and they're taking it out on somebody else.
It's a tantrum.
It is. It's a tantrum.
People having a tantrum.
Yeah. Hurt people hurt people.
Hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
That part.
It seems like you've taken kind of your grief and how it used to weigh you down, and now you use it as a way to lift you up. So when did that kind of switch? Or that transformation happen?
That switch, I don't know if I can say exactly when. It was a process of feeling as though those little, like those puzzle pieces were coming together. The seeing that the craft work was part of my dad and being able to sit outside and surrender with the music was actually making me feel better. That things that I was doing were making me feel better than feel worse. Right. And that is also something I'm always going to cite David because he is very intelligent, but he says that the goal of grieving is to live with more joy and love around the experience than pain. That's the goal. Is you're never going to not feel some version of sadness about it. But how can we potentially get to a place where you are more often reminded of joy? And I can look back at those 48 hours that I had, and I'm so privileged to have had with my dad in those last days. Right. They once were marked with the most traumatic aspects of it. I can barely remember them now. I remember the music. I remember his face when he held my hand and like said, I love you, like when he couldn't speak. That's what I remember. That comes to mind. It is not the other stuff. And so that's the goal, is that it'll always be there. I can still remember it, but it's not going to make me burst into tears right now. I'm able to sit here and talk to you about it. And that makes me proud in a sense that I can hopefully guide other people to a place where no matter what your loss is, let me help you find. Again, it's a tough word to think about when it comes to grieving, but joy in remembering this person who is still such a huge part of you in whatever way that may be. Let's find that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the death too just eclipses life in the moment. One of the things that my friend who lost her parent had told me was like, you know, eventually you will remember, like we were chatting about my grandpa, and she was like, eventually you'll remember, when you think of him, you'll remember what he looked like before he died and not just what he looked like when he was dying. And I was like, oh my God, really? You know, because it sits with you that, and being able to move back to that joy of remembering your memories with him when he was alive. Is like a really beautiful spot to get to, and something I think a lot of people need to hear. Is like their death is one of the most important things that's ever happened to you, but their life was more important.
Beautifully said. That's so perfectly said. And a physical manifestation of what you just said is I have like a little corner in our guest room that's my dad. And I have his ashes and a little wooden sailor that he used to collect. They're in there with a photograph of him on his best favorite day, probably, which was grilling in Maine on the beach at our beach house. He has a tray full of like chicken, and like the smile on his face is so happy. And other things that when I wake up or I just look at that corner of the room, I see him smiling. And that's like your brain is just been like, oh, that's dad, not the other version of dad that was tough for that last year and but that's dad smiling and serving chicken because that was what he loved to do.
Yeah.
Remind yourself of that every day.
Yeah.
See that. And eventually you get to a different place. I think that's the other thing is like you're trying not to look at grieving as I'm going to get over this. I am going to integrate this into my life for the better as much as I can.
Yeah.
Every single day, finding something that's like, this, I didn't see this coming today. That will still, I hope that keeps happening. I hope I keep discovering in different ways. I have animal cards because I'm also like woo-woo like that, like tarot cards that have animals on them. And I flipped one day that was a spider. And all of a sudden I started seeing spiders everywhere. And I was like, my dad was not like spider or whatever. But then I was like, well, why not? What, like, let's learn more about spiders. And the lesson of the animal card is that the spider sort of sits beside the raven. And every day the raven's like, no, I don't like spiders. And then finally the spider comes over and is like, I have some stuff I want to tell you. Chill. I make these beautiful webs. I capture things sometimes just by making my beautiful web and like give some education. The raven's like, oh, cool. Nice to meet you. I was like, okay, that's my dad. Like my dad would just come in like, I'd be like, Dad, not today. But then finally he's like, hey, I have some lessons for you. Just sit back and listen.
Yeah.
So now when I see spiders, that's the most recent thing. I'm just like, oh, there's a spider. Let's get you outside. Let's not kill you. Let's take care of
little
you.
guy. Let's go.
Yeah.
There's a book I think you'd love. It was one of I want to say it was one of Marissa's friends wrote it, and Marissa had posted about it, and I like immediately bought it because I thought it was such a smart idea. It's a children's book, and it's called, like, this is a free plug for this book, The People Who Can't Meet You. Oh. And it's kind of about explaining. It was written by a guy who lost his mom before he had his kids. And so it's his story for his kids to tell them about their grandma who they won't have memories of.
That's beautiful.
And there's like a little spot in the back where you can put like pictures of people and they're all little empty frames. And then like, it's just like the different ways that you'll like in the way you laugh or maybe part of your name or, when you hear a song. And it's just such a sweet, like, it's really good for kids.
I need to read that book. That's a beautiful, beautiful sentiment. And that is the lesson of this, is finding ways to continue to bring up that person. I still bring up, like, I have my grandmother who I lost 20 years ago and now like was hugely impactful, but my relationship with my grandmother was that like she was older and we kind of were expecting it. And so it was not as like shocking as like my father. And
don't compare that.
Exactly.
Paul.
Exactly.
I'm going to hold you accountable to this. Don't
hold me accountable.
it.
You are correct. I think I only say that to say like I didn't expect to still be finding her. Like I wasn't doing that before. I think I needed my dad to pass to sort of get clicked over to this other side of like, this is something that happened to you and you can grieve it by being sad and you can grieve it by being happy and looking for her by the rose bushes or with the picture on my refrigerator of her that's like right at the freezer eye line. So every day I see my grandmother and I at my cousin's wedding. Those reminders, like they bring them back closer. They really like help.
I love that. I want to ask you some more advice questions because I feel like this is like everybody's free session with a grief counselor.
Please, I love it. Let's see what I can do.
One question. Well, this is a personal question, but I have lots of friends that have lost parents, especially. How would you go about big moments in their life? We're talking weddings, birth of a child. And how do you, like, I know one of my girlfriends who lost her mom, I had trouble talking when she wanted like wedding advice. I had trouble not involving my mom in like what I was talking about, being like, well, my mom's doing XYZ. And I'm like, okay, well, I can't erase what my mom's helping me with, but should I not bring up my own mom because you don't have your mom to go through this with? And same thing like with when you have kids and it's like, okay, well, I don't know. I don't want to say things about grandparents and then I feel bad or I don't know.
It's a big question. And I think I have some advice here. First being, as much as you can, let that friend lead the way. So if they are, I always caution people from insinuating that they might need advice that I have before asking them if they need advice. Like I look at somebody and I can see that they're going through something and I just jump in with like a piece of advice very careful there, because if someone ain't asking for it, they may not want it. And then you're just really shooting yourself in the foot because they didn't want advice and you feel like you gave up a pearl of wisdom. How dare they not want it? Because they didn't want it and they didn't ask you for it. So I always start from a place of like listening first, because they may give you the opportunity to say like, oh, I wish I knew what I could do to represent my mom at the wedding. Then you have an open door to say, well, I would still say, could I offer you some suggestions? Because they might not be asking. They might just be hypothesizing.
They might just be talking.
Right.
Oh, yeah, sure. And then you can say what comes, well, that can come from experience. Well, for my mom, like what she wanted to do for my grandmother was this. And then you offer it that way. That's a safe space to be in, because I think more often than not, we have to listen for what people are asking for when they're talking to us. And Nick and I have found this rule just in our relationship is like, when you have something that's happening in your life and the other person is listening, the other person kind of takes a moment to go, is it an advice night or is it a I need to vent night? And if it's an I need to vent night, just zip it and let the person vent. And that goes with grieving. If someone is just like, I just want to be sad and angry and scared, all three at once.
Yeah.
Can you be that for me? They're going to work. That's them working. That's them going like, and I just can't believe I didn't have the opportunity to say to my dad before he died, blah, 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 blah. They're talking through what they need to talk through. They don't need you to solve that. That's an opportunity. Like in that instance, do not say, I'm sure he heard you. Stop. They're frustrated. They're angry that that didn't happen. The more they can let that out, it's going to start to loosen. It's going to get lighter. That's what they're there to do. Now, if they come to you and say like, what can I do if I can't get over the fact that I didn't have those final words with my dad? Then you have an invitation to be a little bit more advice driven. But if you don't have that open door, I say more often than not, just listen. And we all love to give advice, right? But sometimes in these cases, like a person just might not want it. They just might need to share. And we all know how to give advice, so I don't need to give advice there.
Let's see, what else? What would be something to really, other than advice, what's like a phrase or something that people say that you wish you could cross out when it comes to someone else speaking about your grief?
Speaking about my grief, like talking about, like telling how I go through it, or just
like if somebody asks Nick, hey, how's Paul doing since his dad's
I'm
passed?
Way too fortunate here that Nick is the most delicate,
I know, we're gonna pretend
person.
that
if I had a jerk of a,
pretend that he's a ding
it
dong.
goes the other way.
This.
I'm actually the one that speaks more for him more than I probably should. But,
but what would you want a partner to say?
He asked me early on, I don't know if this is answering this, but it's worth just saying because it was so powerful, is he, in the first like couple months of me grieving, when it was real fresh, and people were saying like, kind of what I was, and this is again, just my own take of it, but I would hear what I felt to be like condescending. How are you? And that to me got under my skin. Like, are you okay? Like, what do you need? Like that sort of thing. And I'd be like, oh God, for me, I don't like that.
Yeah.
And so he asked me, what do you want to hear? And I like came out of nowhere. I was like, you're doing great. That's what I want to hear is you're doing great. And he just looked at me and goes, you're doing great. And it's still like, was just like, yeah, I'm learning. I don't know what I need to hear or how people would represent this. I think if anything right now, I would like to be spoken of as someone who's curious about grief and curious in general about how I am navigating so much that's coming at me and all of us right now. He seems curious. He seems like he wants to learn more from us about what we're going through and wants to help in whatever way that he can, even if that means just listening. I really have enjoyed, like, there are some people in the grief group I have found more often than not everybody, but more often than not, the grief groups are full of women of a certain age and not a lot of men. Men are not really kind of wanting to do this work. So anytime a man enters the grief group, I immediately afterwards follow up with an email just saying, if you need to talk, I'm here and would love to listen. Every single person has followed up.
Wow.
And I have now relationships with like 4 guys, because there's been 4 guys. But it's,
I'm telling Nick.
I tell it, like, I'm like, it's so unique and rare that I am like connecting with like cis white straight men in 2025, but in a way that I'm really proud of. It's like, nobody is listening to you in the way that you need right now. Because if it is to you, I'm not saying this, but you are seeing women as being, that's the thing that you're shirking away from. And men don't know how to do this with you by and large, unless it means like punching each other and like, I'm broad stroking here, but like that's what I'm hearing from them.
That's what it feels like.
And people have confided in me some deep stuff in these talks. And it's all mine and it's all staying here. As long as it's an opportunity to release the valve, come at me, bro. Tell me what's going on. Let's cry. Let's work through this.
Especially men of a certain age right now. We're not told it was okay to cry.
And the guys that I'm talking to are in like, they still have time to be saved before they turn into senators that rule against us.
Oh my God.
I can still save you under a certain age. At a certain point, that goose is cooked and it is just going to be a miserable man for the rest of his life. Let's get real. But like in this little bit of time, if we still have it left, like let me hold your hand through this. That's the other thing I've like embraced is that I don't need to have, if I'm doing grief counseling, sympathy or empathy. Leave those at the door. I don't need to bring myself into a stranger's grief experience. I can be compassionate. And that helps me a lot because I'm going to enter rooms with people where I don't necessarily align with them religiously, socially, on a number of things. But for 1 hour, if you need to be really, really sad, I would love to be the person that can give you that space. And then you might leave that room and we may not be friends. We may not agree on a lot of things. But for 1 hour, if you can release that valve and remember that your emotions are real, your emotions are real. I'm talking to all the straight white men that are listening to this podcast.
Hey, it's a Venn diagram. Our Venn diagram's a circle here. Come on.
And I would like to listen.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. And thank you for letting me talk about this. It's tough stuff, but...
Do you have any final words of wisdom? Because I assume we're at the end.
I think I've said a lot of wisdom, and I'm glad that you see it as wisdom, and I hope to be doing more of this on like a level where I can help people. I'm not there yet. I'm still learning right now and just love opportunities to learn. So I would say, if anything... I've shared my Instagram before. It's not connected to this at all, but it's
Share it again,
PS I found you. It's my crafting and Palm Springs and all my fun design things. Hit me up in the comments and let me know if you know of books that you loved or people that you respect that talk about grief or just like anything that reminds you of what we talked about. Because I'm really at a space where like I'm really loving learning, which is not something I've always felt in my life. This is a space where like the more I can learn, the better. And yeah, it's been really good. I do have my something sweet though.
Yes, I was just thinking.
Oh, yes.
We're going to end on something sweet.
We're going to end with something sweet.
Surprise.
Quelle surprise.
And it
I'm
comes
surprised already.
And it comes back to a conversation I had with you, Becky.
Oh my God.
I mean,
Something
Becky,
that you said is sick.
It's sick. You brought that?
She loves
You're
sweets.
disgusting.
So Becky and I were at a
sweets.
party and we talked about our three
These
favorite.
are sick.
You have to eat one.
Sweethearts.
Oh no!
Please?
A live
Okay.
taste test? No,
Let me-
I'll do it.
Okay. So these aren't the
live
actual ones
taste
that I was
test.
talking about, but they're the
Ropes
same
bites.
thing.
Okay.
They're these bites that have like a cream filling in them. And I was telling Becky about them and she was like, "You're sick. You're sick."
I wasn't the only one. I think Desiree said you were sick too.
You said the loudest. And
Well, I always do, my friend.
You have a lot of opinions about candy. So
Help, they're childproof.
so you have to try them.
Yes, we're talking about our favorite candies with Ryan Garcia.
And
Yep.
this is your
It
favorite
was
candy?
you and me.
It's one of them.
He had
we have a
talked
movie
about
theater
it.
candy.
Movie theater.
Movie
Okay,
theater.
that is different, I
Yeah.
feel like.
So it's a sweet tart with something chewy on the inside.
It's like a cream filling.
a cream
I wanna try.
filling. Live taste test.
Live taste test.
It's like a rope.
Do you like it?
She
Oh
likes
my God,
it.
Becky's in love.
I will say, I need the audience to see this. Look at the bag. It shows a big fat rope. These things are like flat
do you
little
think?
buddies. They're
I feel
better
like you
because
don't
they're
even.
flat.
I feel like you don't even know that there's an inside. You
Yes.
know what I mean?
So that's
like
about-
they taste.
Okay.
You're no longer
It was
sick.
highly anticlimactic, but
I feel like they taste and the texture is as if there's not a filling.
Yes. If they looked like the way they look on the bag, I would agree you're sick.
okay.
I would agree with myself. But since they don't, and they don't taste like there's anything in the middle, you're not sick anymore.
Okay.
I don't hate, but I don't love. Not gonna lie.
Can I tell one more quick story real quick? Because
Yeah.
I wanted to say it last time and I forgot.
Do it.
I want to tell the story of how I remember you, like meeting you. Do you remember the pool? Do you remember the pool in Mexico for Zach and Maggie's wedding?
Whoa.
Do you know what happened? Do you remember what happened? Because I can honestly see you not remembering what happened, and it is such an impactful moment with Matt.
In the pool.
Don't spoil it if you do. Just tell me if you remember at the Super Bowl party what happened.
Oh, yeah.
So this story is so
I was like,
iconic.
which
And I was
pool?
like, I meant to tell it the first time I was on, but I forgot. So at Zach and Maggie's wedding in Mexico, the day after the wedding, there was a Super Bowl party.
Oh, yes.
I had a brilliant idea, that I was going to, it was Rihanna's Super Bowl show, that I was going to do a Super Bowl grid. You know how they do the numbers?
Oh, yeah,
up top
yeah.
and bottom the side, where I do all the top would be Rihanna songs and all the side would be Rihanna songs. And if you hit the intersection of the first song and the last song, you won all the money. There were 20 lines going this way and 20 lines going that way. Like, it was a lot of money.
And we did like $5.
No, it was $1.
Now I'm
Who
remembering.
knows?
I mean, guess who won?
remembering.
Guess who won?
Who?
Me.
This is so good.
Wow.
Okay, so this
I won.
What happened?
What
And then I got
remember.
stolen from me.
There we go. Okay, see.
Then it got stolen from me.
Remember Matt hating women and Kelsey Dara won.
No, Kelsey told me what happened.
No, Kelsey
was-
didn't win.
No.
A straight white man won.
Yeah. You guys are jumping ahead to the story.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. Our bad.
So
I said not to-
and I know. I jumped to like the front of the room after the halftime show, and I'm like, so the winner is, and I'm like, do, and there's so many people. I'm like, it's Matt, and you look up, and you're like, you're like barely happy, like,
I'm like, what? I just remember because I was shocked. I was like, this can't be true.
And then Kelsey comes over my shoulder, and she's like, oh no, that's not who won. And I look down, and it is, oh my God, who's Laura DIY's husband?
Jeremy.
It was Jeremy. It was Jeremy wins. And I was like, in front of everybody, I'm like, sorry, Matt. And honestly, the look went from this to like, it wasn't even that bad. It was just like Matt happy to like Matt mad. And I just would see him through the darkness. And then Kelsey goes to me, like barely like knows we've just met, and she goes, "You did that because you love drama," and I will never forget that. Like she's like,
you should have just let Matt win.
Yeah. And I did not. We were honest, and then I did take you out for dinner though.
That's true.
I took him out for our first dinner date at Paul Bar in Palm Springs to say that I was sorry that I gave him.
I took him to Paul Bar.
I know, right? So I had to share that story for posterity because.
Oh my gosh.
Well,
Thank you.
Back in the day.
He's an acapella, so he's a music guy.
Yeah.
In a way. So maybe that's how we knew.
Oh, yeah.
All of his set designs.
Well, that was just one more fun story. And thank you for giving me the space again to talk about tough stuff.
Oh my God, no problem.
Yes, thank you for joining us.
List where the people can find you again, just so we have it in one clear, concise.
P.S. I found you as my Instagram. And let's go for it. My TikTok is Lil Gold Frog. LILGOLD frog.
Oh my gosh.
Which I'm just playing around with. Like, no one really knows that because it's just fun to be on TikTok and make dumb videos of me watching the end of Snow White. I did the prank where I called my straight best friend from high school and told him goodnight. And it was the funniest thing that ever happened. He's so straight. And he was just like, what's going on right now? Do I need to call the police? Like, he was so truly afraid of me just being like, I'm just wanted to say goodnight. Have you seen this trend before?
Yeah, I've seen the trend, but that's funny that he was like,
he was
why are you
terrified.
calling me?
And then I just hung up on him.
Bye.
Yeah. So that's where you can find me, and hopefully back here to talk with you guys again soon.
Beautiful.
Love it.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to us today. Until next time, make sure you're washing your hands, peeing after sex, being nice to people, being nice to yourself, sitting with your grief.
And start listening.
Start listening.
Start today.
And keep
today.
listening.
Yeah.
Keep listening. Bye.
Bye.